Let's get started. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming here today to this special day. My name is Dominic Knoll. I'm the Chief Executive Officer here from the World Trade Center. On behalf of all of our members, I would like to thank you again for being here. Before we get started and we talk about this very, very interesting company that probably you know way, way more about it, and I'm sure you go every second or third day there. I would like to thank some of our sponsors, our half series sponsor, Jones Walker, our supporting sponsors, Nola Brewery, as well Carmichael's Honey, Alter Ego Foods. So let's give them a round of applause. Also, I would like to thank my chairman, David Kearney. He's not here today, as well as my vice chairman just run out, so that's great, so that there's no evaluation on my part. Perfect. As well as all the board members who are here and the whole World Trade Center staff for making this possible. I don't see them right now, but let's give them, oh, here we go. Let's give them a hand of applause. So I will just say, Walter Robb told me don't say too much. Everything you do is fine, just don't say too much about what I do, so that's what I'm going to do. I will talk a little bit about Whole Foods. As you know, the 8th largest food and drug store in the United States. They have right now 370 stores all over the United States, founded in 1980. We here in Louisiana, we have 4 stores now. The 5th one was opened in Lafayette, so 5. And so, like I said, I don't have to say too much about this great company and what they do really in the whole United States about trying to bring organic food, trying to bring a healthy food culture really to the United States. And as I said, they're very, very successful with it. You will hear more from Walter, but I would like to now get Ben Elder here, President and CEO of West Industries, on the podium, who will introduce him. Thank you.
My youngest daughter, the 4th one, is getting married next week, so the people are starting to come in from all over the world for the wedding, and because we're sort of an Italian family, and that's what you do. And last night we were all sitting around the dinner table, and a Whole Foods story developed. And Walter asked me to relate this to you, but it's probably happening all over the country. You just don't hear about all of them, and it's probably happening several times every day. But my wife, being from Italy, doesn't like to eat things out of a bottle or a jar. You know, everything must be made from scratch. And my little granddaughter loves Caesar salad dressing, and my wife didn't feel like making it, so when she was in Whole Foods shopping, she bought a bottle of something called Bass seafood salad dressing. Last night, we're all sitting around the table. There was about 10 of us, and people started commenting, "You mean you're serving salad dressing out of a jar?" She said, "Well, try it." And so people tried it, and they said, "My goodness, that's really good." And my little granddaughter, who was sitting next to me, said, "That's from Whole Foods. You can only get it from Whole Foods." And I said, "You know, tomorrow, Alexandra, I'm going to meet the man that runs all of Whole Foods." She said, "Well, tell him I admire his work." So I related this to Walter, and he wrote her a long note that I'm going to take to her. And I think the fact that he took time to do that is indicative of the culture at Whole Foods. And you know, being a CEO myself, when you're running your company, there are times when everything gets thrown at you every day, and you sort of sometimes get into a fog. And then you'll hear something, and a little light will come on in your head, and it's like the sun burning off the early morning fog in Louisiana. And a couple of years ago, Walter was talking at a group, a Retail Merchants Association, and he was talking about a subject that caused that to happen to me. A little light came on. And what he was talking about was the values of corporate culture. And the term he used was conscious capitalism. And the more I thought about that, the more I felt like, my goodness, we should be, as a corporation, we should be more like that. And so I went back and we started working on it, and my people would say, how are we ever going to do what Whole Foods does? I said, well, it's important just to get the herd headed in approximately the right direction, and then we'll fine-tune it as we go along. And so today we've done a lot of that stuff, and we're a much better corporation because of it. And we've got a lot happier people, and it's all because of one thing Walter said that we took seriously, and I'm sure you're going to hear more of that today. So, Walter?
Morning, everybody. I think you just found your next executive speaker right here. Dominic, there you go. Just go right in house for that. Thank you very much, Ben, for that. You know, I was talking. We were talking about how if you want to get to somebody, going through their grandchildren is your best way to go. Get right to the heart. And can you all hear me? Okay. And so my granddaughter's Maddie. She's 5. And she said, I was talking to her last night. I said, Maddie, I got to talk to a bunch of people tomorrow. What should I tell them? And she calls me Buppa, B-U-P-A, Buppa. So Buppa, she says, I don't know. And then she says, no, wait a second. Tell them I can touch my foot to my forehead. So there you have it. Now you're informed. So happy to be here with you today, Dominic. Thank you for the invitation. And we roll as a team at Whole Foods, and we have many of our team over here in this field right here to the right. You'll meet some of them later. So we're happy to be with you. Thanks for the invitation. And I'm going to say, if this is my clicker, I think, right here, right? Where's the thing? There we go. Yeah. I always start, you know, I hope to talk a little bit about values today, because I think that is something that we like to share about. And this being your mission statement, I don't know how many of you have actually read it, but I did read it, and it's long, Dominic. It's long. It goes on for a while. But maybe like a Louisiana story or something like that. That's Christina, by the way, that laugh. But what you do in there, you talk about your stakeholders, and obviously I'm going to talk about that a little bit later, but stakeholders is one of the ways in which we think about a business and business being in the world is this responsibility to a broader set of stakeholders. So it's nice to see that in your mission statement. So here's what I talked to Dominic, I talked to Jerry Hinkle. Is Jerry Hinkle here? Where's Jerry? He's not here. Okay, well, I guess that was enough. One conversation was enough, and he was out. But this one I heard is that it would be what folks would like me to talk about, which is our journey here. What are we doing in the competitive marketplace? Our perspective from our company, since we're in the food industry. Any thoughts, of course, about the government policy and regulation, and then just a thought about our sort of philosophy and culture. So that's what I'll try to cover. Today we started in New Orleans, actually, back in we got some real street cred here in New Orleans, because we started in 1974. This was the first store, actually, at Adams and Cone. How many of you knew that? You knew that? Oh, wow, okay, yeah. And so I didn't actually know the folks that started this, but I have very good friends with Peter Roy, who bought this Whole Food company in 1979, and that was on Esplanade, right? You know, some of the team members of Whole Foods still work at this store. They still work with us now. That worked at Esplanade, which Peter told me the other day that this store did $75,000 a week, which in those times that's a lot of dollars for a small store, right? So that's a pretty impressive number. And so Peter sold a Whole Food company. By the way, his #1 investor was John Elstrott. John Elstrott teaches at Tulane. He just retired from Tulane, actually. And John is actually the chair of the board for Whole Foods Market. So New Orleans he's running Whole Foods Market, really, if you get right down to it. Since John and I report to him. But this was a store. And then, of course, we opened up Arabella Station in 2002, right? Yeah. So Regina West is our store team leader. Stand up, Regina, so people can recognize you. Yeah. Yeah. She got a new haircut and got married just for you guys. So that's her store. But what was cool about that, I remember when it came to real estate, was the bus barn, right? You remember the bus barn? It was the old bus barn. And it was just fascinating to see the history on that. And of course, that store got hit pretty hard in the storm. And I went down there 2 days after the storm, and I went in there, and there was a bunch of people shopping. They were just shopping, you know. And I said, well, you know, what are you doing? They said, well, the police said you can just help yourself. And of course, so they did. And it's a new way of doing business, right? So, and then Opened up out on Veterans in 2005, and then we turned around and opened up Baton Rouge in 2005 too, which is, so we had that. And then just yesterday we opened up a store in Lafayette, and there was the line of folks getting ready to go in. It's always fun to do. We do, instead of doing we do a bread breaking. It makes sense for ourselves. We do the bread breaking. So that was our store in Lafayette yesterday. And we have one more coming that's underway now. Should I tell them where it is? I don't think I should tell them where it is. Probably not. What? Oh, Shreveport's coming. Well, there's another one. There's still another one after that. So we're going to keep going in Louisiana. We're having a good time down here. And in any case, we're talking about now, this was the store that opened on Broad Street. And our store team leader, you'll meet him in just a minute, but this is what it looked like when we started. This was the old Schwegmann's, right? And it didn't look very good. This is at Broad and Bienville in Mid-City. And sort of the eye came together of putting the project together for this part of the city. And this is kind of what I saw when I went around the houses. Right, this was 1 or 2 blocks down from the building there. And this is what it looked like on opening day, which was February of this year. We just opened February of this year. And I thought maybe you'd like to hear kind of what, it was really cool. The mayor was there, everybody was there. Of course, the mayor comes for every opening, I suppose, but that's what mayors do, but he was very gracious, and it was an awesome turnout. There's a real story here, but I'm going to come back to that, but I wanted to show you, here's what it sounded like. We had that going on in there. It was, they were really, really good music, really, really good musicians, so that's enough of that. All right, but here's the podium, and this is our store team leader, Ernest Roy. Here, Ernest, can you stand up and let people say hello to you? I tell you, of all the things that were said that day, and there's some cool things said, but Ernest has been with Whole Foods a little over 10 years. And he tells the story to many folks that he came and just got some part-time work. But on this day, Ernest stood up and said, today I'm here as your store team leader. So this is his store, this is Ernest's store. Came back to New Orleans to be able to do this. And the most beautiful thing about what Ernest shared, he said, not only did I have this opportunity, now I want to help others to make their way forward in their careers. So if you haven't been, how many of you have been over to Broad and Bienville, seen the store? It's really awesome, yeah, so. The greatest story really about this project, I think, which I want to share with you because I think you'll find it inspiring if you don't know the story. This store was actually created, Broad Community Connections was actually the leader in Mid-City that actually put a group of companies together to put this project together. So we literally are all of us in the building together, but more importantly, we started in a conversation together. And Jeff Schwartz, who's the executive director, he's here this morning, but this conversation about how we can take this piece of property and revitalize this and bring these sorts of services and opportunities to the neighborhood. And so our partners are, you see them on the thing there, Liberty's Kitchen, which I want to talk about in a minute. Tulane Medical School actually has opened up the first teaching kitchen for medical students in the country. It's happening right here in New Orleans. They are now licensing, that's Dr. Tim Harlan, Dr. Gourmet on the web, is licensing this to many universities, medical schools across the country. He's done, he told me yesterday, 8 or something already. This is where the medical students are having to learn how to cook as part, and this is a rigorous, he's got it all, whatever they do there, got that all organized in a way that's legit science and all that. Teaching the kids, and actually bringing folks in, diagnosing their cases and looking at how food can be part of the solution. So Hippocrates said, let food be thy medicine, medicine be thy food. Well, that's actually what's sort of happening here. And they're right in there, and Broad Community Connections, First Line Schools, Boys Town is there. We are all in this, co-creating this space together, physically together in this space, sharing some common space. And I really think it can be a model for around the rest of the country in terms of how communities can revitalize. It's this idea of putting people together and saying, all right, let's co-create this situation. And obviously you can see these are, we really work hard on having our local suppliers. We have some here today, right? Country Boy Grits is here today. We're going to fix me up with some grits. Maybe some shrimp to go with that, I guess, would be good. Anyways, we try to feature our local suppliers. That's very important to us. Here's 3 of them. You can see Liberty's Kitchen there. Talk a little bit more about this. Liberty's Kitchen, you all probably know about this, but this is a fantastic organization. They do 2 things. Essentially, they help at-risk youth So it's a youth development program, folks that are on the streets or in a difficult situation that they take and they give them a set of culinary skills and life skills, really, to be able to make their way forward. And they also provide healthy food to the school. So they're serving a number of meals in the charter school system in New Orleans. That's what they do. And as part of this project, they took a big new facility, 10,000 square feet, to be able to produce the food. But yesterday we were there and we were talking with the kids. Eroy told Ernest, I said, we call him Eroy, Ernest Roy, Eroy. Eroy told his story. You see him there smiling. He told his story to everybody. And I'm going to tell you guys, you probably know this, but a couple of these stories about these kids and their lives and their situation will bring tears to your eye. They have not had a break. In fact, they've had the opposite of that. They've been on their own since they were 10. They had all sorts of challenges. This is the first time one child said that, one kid said, I did not grow up around love. It breaks your heart. Well, here's an organization that's really helping, and so we're really proud. So what we've done in the spirit of partnership is they make some of our salads. We've hired some of their people, and the relationship between the two, Liberty's Kitchen, Whole Foods, continues on. And this is the sort of thing that's possible when companies and communities and nonprofits are all together. All this really, the vision of this gentleman right here, Jeffrey Schwartz, who's right. Stand up, Jeff, so people can recognize him. This is New Orleanian that could have gone to New York and worked for Goldman Sachs if he wanted to. Which, by the way, Goldman Sachs provided the money for this development, $3 million, which they're carrying on their balance sheet, long-term balance sheet. They're taking on the liability, and their urban investment group. And I'm friends with Lloyd, the CEO, and I've told him how much I appreciate that. I mean, so whatever you hear about them in this situation, they put their money on the line for New Orleans, and they've stayed in the project, and I think that's very impressive. So. Anyways, I want you to hear Jeff now speak because he's so articulate about what's trying to happen here in the Mid-City Corridor. This is a little clip of Jeff speaking.
The Broad Street corridor in New Orleans is really important because it's one of the backstreet corridors in the city. And so for all of the cliched images of backstreet musicians and second lines just walking around randomly in the street, that culture really is alive and well in the city, and it's in the neighborhoods along Broad Street. Broad Street in its heyday was probably a sight to behold. It had everything from jockeys betting at the fairgrounds right off of Broad Street to people speaking probably 20 different languages. And it was really the road in and out of town. So there were, everything from really swanky restaurants to, your seedier motels and everything in between. It was full of life, and that's something that I would love to see come back to the corridor. Broad Street had really fallen on hard times and really didn't have a clear path forward, and that was something that we were willing to help it chart. Broad Community Connections is a neighborhood development organization, and in that role we fill the gap between traditional development and community, which usually are at odds with one another. People have day jobs, and they don't always have time to go to every single meeting, to meet with the city, to meet with the developer, and so we can be that critical link. New Orleans has some of the highest rates of diet-related and chronic disease in the country, but I think we have an innovative model for really connecting the dots and helping people really make behavioral changes in their lives. We worked for a few months on what became known as the Refresh Project. We knew that we wanted to do something with what was an old Schwegmann's grocery store that had sat whited and vacant for about 8 years after Katrina. It started out as just a grocery store and a healthy school food service provider in concept. It really aspires to be that social and community space in addition to providing a really basic good. And so you have everything from a Whole Foods market through a 2-lane teaching kitchen to Liberty's Kitchen, which works with at-risk youth and also provides healthy school meals for schools. Investing in these communities is investing in what makes New Orleans unique. And so, right, on the surface of it, we're just developing a grocery store and some programs and services that help people eat healthier, but in leading healthier lives, that means that they're able to, play music at night, and they're able to, be a late turner during the day, and do all the things that make New Orleans what it is.
Pretty good, huh? Yeah. I told Jeff he looked like Huey Long there walking outside. Somebody forgot to tell him the dogs don't vote now. You thought that was funny too, though. Also, I was thinking I'm glad the Saints won last last Sunday because I was going to do my best Drew Brees. Anybody want a T-shirt? Anybody else want one? All right. Dominic's thinking workers' comp. All right. So our journey as a company started in 1980, Austin, Texas. John, this is the first store. You can see it's now a period piece, right? So you can do the cars. This is the first store, 1980, at the corner of 10th to Lamar in Austin, Texas. And this today is our headquarters in Austin. So that store was 10,000 square feet. This is 80,000 square feet. We now have 86,000 team members across the country. We're in 44 states and 3 countries, and our run rate this year over $15 billion, close to 400 stores. It's amazing how it's happened. We certainly never expected it to unfold the way that it has. And there's kind of the chart of our progress. So you can kind of see our deal there. Yeah, it's amazing. The last 2 days, we opened 5 stores in the last 2 days as a company. We've never done that before. So, yeah. These are not the ones. These are some ones that were. These are old news at this point, but I didn't update this slide. But yeah, Clearwater, Florida, Augusta, Georgia, Lafayette, Louisiana, Palm Beach Deserts, and Young and Shepherd in Toronto in the yesterday and today. So. Next year we'll do 40 stores. That's almost, it's almost a store a week at this point, which is pretty amazing if you think about it. So the question that Dominic posed and Jerry was, you're interested in hearing a little bit how we think about our marketplace, what are our strategies for competing, and so I'm just going to share with you essentially the 5 that this is what we laid out to Wall Street because we are a public company since '93, trade on the NASDAQ. What we laid out of what we're thinking about. Our marketplace has significantly shifted in the last number of years. We have whereas we started out fringer than fringe, very fringe, like who are you again and what do you do and what's that weird stuff you sell, to the place where I think people now get that there is a connection between how you eat and how you feel and your health. And so as a result now, what you're seeing is in the conventional food industry, the supermarket industry in the United States is about a $700 billion racket, $700 billion. And Whole Foods at 15, we're pretty small players really, but we are getting bigger. What's happened is that if you look at the numbers from the traditional CPG companies, the sales of conventional food have basically flat or negative. So conventional milk, for example, is negative year over year. You saw General Mills just come out with their report. They were negative 5% on some of their key cereal commodities and that sort of thing. But they went and bought a organic mac and cheese company for a tremendous premium as a result of, they see where the growth is. The customer today, and particularly the millennial customer, 25 to 34, is really interested in healthier food. And so, as a result, we had last year a competitive store open once every other day. So what we're seeing is a significant readjustment in the marketplace of many more places where the products are available, which is a good thing for the world from our perspective, because this is what we work for all along, to have a healthier food available to more people. So what are we doing about it? Here's what we're doing about it. Number one is we're growing our stores. So we are growing as faster than any competitor. And again, this is all about, as long as you're growing and you're growing successfully on return on invested capital, our weighted cost of capital is probably 7%, 7.5%, something like that. And we're earning returns on these significantly above that. And so I think the strategy of continuing to grow and grow aggressively and grow, every one of the new stores is working extremely well. We're continuing to see opportunity out there. So our answer to this sort of change is to attack. Is to continue to grow. We think we have a good company, we have a good brand, we have a good store, we have something communities want, so we're going to continue to grow aggressively. And that's what we're doing, and we've said we're going to grow square footage growth at about 10% square footage growth each year for the next number of years, which is a healthy number because we operate about 14 million square feet of retail right now. Second of all, we're going back and taking a look at all of our stores, the older stores, and refreshing them. It used to be when I started out that supermarkets got refreshed about every 5 years. They now need to be refreshed every year, or sometimes faster than that. That's how quickly change is happening in our business. Equipment, ideas, products. I mean, just look at farmers. There was no farmers markets 10 years ago. There's now a significant number across the country, right? Food trucks. All this is all new. The food thing is just, people are on fire with food. That's not new for you guys in New Orleans, but it is new for many parts of the country that have just discovered how exciting food is. And so this is what the store looked like before. This is what it looks like now. The idea of just refreshing. And this is not a big spend against the store, but it is a little bit of a nice investment that says to people you really care about their store. And I think a lot of times we can sometimes take for granted our business and where it stands, and we have to be like the customer expects us to continue to bring our best to them, and the refresh effort on our part. This is about 200 stores we're refreshing throughout the company, so almost half the store base we're doing that. Third is we're obviously what we've seen is a significant group of new competitors that have invested in price and are positioning themselves on price. Whole Foods ultimately is about quality. Our number one role in the marketplace is to bring quality to the market. We're the leader. We have the highest standards in the supermarket industry by far, and full transparency on those standards. The substance is there. However, people need a balance between the values and the value. People know, and so what we've seen is a significant shift in the marketplace towards the perishables, where you have some new players that are pushing hard on price on perishables. So as we have the conversation about the difference in standards, you'll see us announce this fall industry-leading standards on produce. That'll be coming out here shortly, responsibly grown. No time to go into those right now, but they do show that there's some real differences. At the same time, we're pushing hard on our price investments, particularly in the perimeter, in order to true up to the marketplace that we find ourselves in now. And that's that, always finding the balance, but you'll see us make a significant effort this fall in this respect. So, your pricing, we don't have a wide moat, to use Warren Buffett's term. We used to, we don't anymore. So you've got to be relevant on price in order to get your message across on quality. Broad Street's been helpful to us in that respect, in that we're serving there a more mixed community or lower income community, and we have a chance to learn about some of those things. That's been very helpful to us as we think about these, and that's true also in Detroit. We are doing something we've never done in the history of the company, which is our first ever national marketing campaign. You know what happens when you're out there now and people start to define who you are, or they say who you are, and you're not out there saying who you are, you got to get out there and say something, right? And so you really do need to do that, and we've never done that. This is our first ever national marketing campaign for the company. We are 35 years old. We've never done it. We've built the business on word of mouth and PR and work in the community, and we've never ever said, this is who we are. We got to use our big brand voice, and we're going to do that this year. We're going to get out there and say what's different about who we are, and that's the first time we've ever done it. I cannot show you the ads and all that, so I just tease you a little bit there. But you're going to see this because we're going to start. We're actually going on national TV, which we've never done. So, but again, the point you want me to know how we're thinking about this. How we're thinking about this is that there comes times when you have got to defend your brand. You've got to get out there and say who you are, because the marketplace is moving quickly, and other folks are saying, well, we do this or we do that, and if you don't go out there and get your message out who you are, the market will define it for you. And while I think we have a strong brand, I think people generally associate us with quality. It's not a time in the marketplace where you can take that for granted anymore, at least in our industry, in our marketplace, because it's shifted in the way I described. And so it's very, very important now for us to be out there and do this, and we don't know how it's going to work. What we are doing is we are combining this with an internal campaign with our team members so that they can feel good about who we are as a company. So we're going to do both external and internal at the same time later this fall. We also investing significantly in technology. The way I see it, I've never seen. I've been doing this a long time. Retail has changed. What you have now is a situation where retail and technology have just basically joined at the hip. The customer today has technology, has options, has choices they've never had before. And two examples of how we're doing this. So my belief is ultimately the winners in retail will be those who fuse the physical space with the digital space and give customers choices. The customer wants what they want, when they want it, and how they want it. And so you're not going to win by telling them you're going to only have it this way. The way it's going to work is it's going to be a fusion of physical and digital space. Even Amazon now is recognizing the physical space. They're looking to build some warehouses where people can pick up because they recognize they do not have the physical. We have the physical. We need the digital. We're adding that now, and we took 2 significant steps last week to do that in what I call we have a strategic digital roadmap. I assume that you all are thinking about those sorts of things for your own companies. If you don't, you should do. You should sit down and think, because you can spend a lot of money on technology. You've got to get a clear sense of where you want to go, what you're trying to accomplish, and then make your choices accordingly. And by the way, you don't have to do it all internally. You should look at really leveraging partnerships. There's a lot of smart young companies out there. You can do it and move faster if you partner with other companies and try to build the infrastructure yourself. very expensive, and it's not clear we have any competency in that anyway. So, two things we did. We signed a deal with, we created a deal, and I did this deal myself, with Instacart, which is a fantastic young company based out of San Francisco that does home delivery. They built, they're technologists. They built a technology platform. You go online, sign up, not available here in New Orleans yet, but, and you can have delivery in 1 hour or 2 hours. You can go online, shop, put your basket together, and they'll bring it to you within 1 hour or 2 hours. Different price points. Same price as a store, but you pay the delivery fee. And we pay them a fee, but they handle all the credit card processing and that sort of thing. So now it's given our customers an option. If they want to, you know, they want to have the food brought to their house, ba-boom, ba-boom, boom, boom. That's how it happens. That's how quickly it happens. And through their phone. So now all of a sudden this is we think a 50-60% incremental business. The basket is higher here than in our stores, the average basket. So this is a really good way of extending our business into the digital space. By the way, we're also using their infrastructure to provide a pickup option so customers can also order and then pick up. So what you see is this world, this blended world of things that are happening. The other big step we took was, I don't know if you, oh, I don't know if they do that. They're out of order, but, okay, well the other one we took was, and it's not on here, we were the founding grocer with Apple Pay that was announced last week. Had a nice slide. Oh, was it there? Oh, left there. Okay, yeah, sorry, yeah. There we are. There we are, Cupertino at the announcement event, which we were wrapped up on an NDA for 2 months. They were pretty tight about that. If you say anything about it, we're going to kick you out. So, anyways, there's the group of folks that started the Apple Pay, which is very cool. All you do here is you just hold your finger on the phone. You really don't even have to press it down on the on button. You over this little pad, which is near field communications pad, and it pulls it. You know, the transaction happens. So you shop your groceries, put that on there, boom, that's it. You know why it's so good? Is because it's secure. Because it's not. We don't actually get your credit card information. There's a 12-digit number which is between you and your bank. This is going to transform the security of retail transactions, and they've assembled enough people in the ecosystem of payments that I think this one has a chance of sticking. So we are one of the founding folks, and when they did the Apple Watch demonstration, they actually used Whole Foods as an example of showing you how you could get there. So we thought it was kind of cool. We played the clip a lot of times at Austin. So there's two examples again, and we have more things that we're doing to build out our roadmap around this is, and we're investing in technology. I mean, I think we were spending. We don't give these numbers publicly. We were spending. You gotta be thinking. It's not IT anymore, folks. It is technology. And it's capability for your business to serve your customers. You've got to get it out of that. It's over there somewhere. You got to. This team reports directly to me. We hired a new CIO 2 years ago. I'm working a lot of my time thinking about how this is going to evolve and how the company is going to evolve. This is the way you got to think about technology now. It's not technology. It's capability. It's an integral part of business today. And if you're not thinking strategically about it, you need to go back and rethink. And so why did I put this up here? This is because of the question you said about what do we think about policy and regulations and how does it affect trade? This was Jerry's question. And really, the thing here is that, look, we buy from 80 countries around the world. We do have a point of view on these things. Particularly, I'm thinking right now, talking to our group, that we have quotas. And we do business in Canada and the UK. We have stores in Canada and the UK. There's quotas in countries which affect, they're frustrating because you can't take stuff across the border. There's certain categories you can't get in. We don't have that in the United States so much. We have it more in these other countries. But what we've had experience lately is the delay in the inspection times coming back over here with cheese and some other products, which are affecting our timelines, our ability to keep product in stock. It's kind of a planning challenge for us in that respect. And also currency fluctuations. Again, our business overseas is about 5% of our company sales, so it's not like some of these other companies. When the currency fluctuates, it messes with your earnings. But it is something that you have to be aware of. What we have had to do is we've had to start getting in the commodity grain business because we can't get enough organic grain in this country. We had to buy from Canada, and we just can't get it. It's just not here. This is some of the consequences of what's happening in the United States, but I never thought we'd be in the futures business and the contract business, and I'm nervous about it because if the values drop out of this sort of thing. But on the other hand, our growers we have to help make sure that we have the supply for our company in the future with the demand where it is. And so But one other thing I would say about policy and regulations is we tend to be, as a company, to try to think ahead of how we ourselves can set the standard. And then usually the policy is behind that. And so our approach has been not to wait until somebody says you got to do something. Our approach has been to say, well, we're going to sort of say, how should it be? Set that standard out there, and then the industry comes along. An example is with the GMO, which has become the non-GMO demand is very high and continuing to grow for non-GMO product. And our position has been to stand out for labeling, mandatory labeling by 2018. No other grocer has followed us. But just by the fact that our company is large enough, we're starting to move markets now with people changing their products to conform with the labeling by 2018. The federal government has not chosen to take this issue up. It has passed in Vermont. It's now on the ballot in Colorado and Oregon. I think one of those states will pass at some point. That's a problem for manufacturers having to deal with multiple states on their labeling. So at some point we got to get this thing resolved. The policy will come along. I suspect we'll see, but I think it'll be slowly. But generally here with seafood, the point is transparency. We label every piece of seafood with its sustainability. We work with Blue Ocean Institute and Marine Monterey Bay, and we're letting our customers know of how the seafood is rated according to those two organizations, and that's kind of in keeping with who we are as a company. So Best, Good, and Nope on the red rated there. So, so just briefly about our philosophy as a company, we call it, this is John's term, conscious capitalism. There are essentially four basic ideas here about thinking about business in this way, and Ben mentioned one. But first I would say purpose and core values is the reason that you're in business is, yes, certainly you want to make money. But at least for us, the reason that we're in business, we have a really strong sense of wanting to bring healthy food to the world. When we started in business, there was no business. I mean, so it had to be for something other than that. For a long time I worked for very little money. But I worked for a tremendous amount of satisfaction and fulfillment. So purpose is really the why. Why are you in business? You know, what are you doing in business? What does your business exist to do? And that is the thing that motivates people, team members, customers, that deeper level of commitment about why you have a business. And this is something that you can continue to revisit. Purpose can evolve over time as your company grows and you see new things and the market changes. You can keep asking yourself this question, as you can as an individual in life. What are you here to do? And so the first tenet of conscious capitalism is really the why question, the purpose, and the values around that. Second of all is this idea of conscious leadership, in that a company can only grow as much as its leaders grow. So you as the CEOs or the leaders of your companies, if you're not growing, you're going to hold your company back. So what are you doing to make sure you continue to invest in yourself and your own leadership in order for that to happen? Ben shared his story about how, you know, it's a book you read, it's something you hear, it hits you in some way, you take it, you go with it, right? You just keep going. And but this idea that in our company we try to be conscious about investing in our leaders and talking about leadership in a way that it involves emotional intelligence, it involves spiritual intelligence. It's aware of how you affect other people. Are you aware of how you show up in your company and what impact you have on people? Because you do have one. But if you don't know what it is, then you're missing a big opportunity to grow as an individual and as a leader. And ultimately, we believe in servant leadership. We believe in servant leadership, and so, but you know, emotional intelligence is a pretty amazing thing when you sort of dig into it and you realize about all that. So, conscious culture. Culture is simply the way in which all these things show up in your company. It's the living piece. It's how the people interact. I mean, I describe culture as purpose and mission practiced over time. It's the how we do it around here. Every company has a culture. You can't take it from another company. You can take ideas, but every company does have one. And do you know what it is? And are you in Whole Foods? It's a culture of inclusion. It's a culture of empowerment. So it's chaotic at times because there's a lot of people running around, but it's inclusive. It is for sure, and it's empowering. And the question is, as you grow, are you continuing to invest in your culture consciously so that you support it, so that it helps people? And that happens to be my particular passion around the culture of Whole Foods. Is I like people, and I like to know how people are doing. And I walk stores, and Leroy and Virginia will tell you that I walk 75 stores a year, and I like to look in their eyes. How are you doing? What's your experience? How are you feeling? And that is the temperature of the company, is in the culture. And then finally is this sort of idea of stakeholder integration, which ties back to your mission statement. And the way we see it is a company is organized with the purpose at the very center, the reason that the company exists, and all these stakeholders around that are participants in the success of the business. And the way a company is successful is to integrate and all these stakeholders and respond and think about them as you're making decisions. You don't just make money decision for the investors. That's what some people's view of business is. It's not our view of business, right? So this idea is you're constantly thinking about your stakeholders, all of your stakeholders, and how you're going to continue to make them successful. And you do that by, as you make your decisions, taking their points of view into account and balancing as best you can the different stakeholders that are involved in the success of your business. So we also have a pretty strong set of values. Again, values. These are stakes in the ground. These are things you believe. These are things you use to guide your decisions. And we have added, I'll tell you, in part because of our experience in New Orleans and also the store we built in Detroit, we went back, we had a value called serving our communities and environment, and it didn't do justice to the relationship with the community that, such as we've seen the richness of it here in New Orleans. So we changed the core value to we serve and support our local and global communities. It's a value for this company to be a participant and to serve the communities in which we operate grocery stores. And that came directly out of our experience. And so values are living too. You don't change them every day. That's not, but you do keep growing because that's the way it is in your life too, right? You're not the same person you were 10 years ago. So here's our values. We try to live them. We try to put them in practice. Our quality standards, again, I mentioned, are the highest in the supermarket industry. You can look at them online. There's a lot of work put into all the years developing these standards with great specificity. And here's one example where in our meat program, every single supplier and piece of meat is ranked onto the 5-step animal welfare rating system that we have there. And again, don't have the time to go into it, but the fact is that if we're selling the highest quality meat, then what does that mean? Well, that means is there the third-party audits, welfare standards of the animals, and all that is put together in a way that puts the value in action. So it's not a value that's on gathering dust, it's a value that's actually in action. That the team members can say, yeah, the company's actually doing what they say and this feels good. And if you go into our stores, and I would invite you to do that, ask the team members if they know the core values. They may not know them all, but they'll tell you 2 or 3. They do know them. And I think one of the mark of a successful culture are the values and the purpose. Is that something that actually lives in the company, or is it something that just gets yacked about but doesn't actually happen? So again, for you, more interesting for this group perhaps, our standards are on whole trade. This affects all of the things we buy from overseas, and is our social and ethical standards around our purchasing overseas. And you'll see this label in the stores reflecting those commitments, and you can check that out online if you're interested. So in addition to that, we're more than just selling food, and I told you we're a mission, purpose-driven organization. We have 3 foundations, and I'm winding to the close here, Dominic, if you're wondering how I'm doing on time. We have 3 foundations. All right. So it's this Whole Kids Foundation. We created this foundation 4 years ago for the purpose of helping kids have better lives with nutrition. And so we've done remarkable things in the last 4 years. We have put 3,500 salad bars in public schools. We've put 2,100 gardens, and we've done 4,700 hours of teaching healthy eating education for teachers who are so strapped and stressed for time. Just training them and helping them to think about healthy eating so they can be effective in the classroom. That's the 3 things that this foundation does. Well, you can see we are working already in New Orleans. We have 59 salad bars in New Orleans, and we have 13 gardens. The applications for gardens are open right now online. If you have a store, and anybody in New Orleans wants one, we'll get one. If you get your school to apply, it's pretty easy. And we come and put it in there for you. I was just in Chicago last week, and we dedicated 8 gardens on the south side of Chicago. And I have to tell you, the kids and the thing, I'm a lifelong gardener. You put your hands in the soil. You put a kid in the soil for one day, and it changes the way they think about food the rest of their life. It just does. And now some of these kids now they're incorporating it in their school cafeteria menu, and it's pretty cool. And so here we are in New Orleans. And Eroy, did you work on this? Did you work over here at this school or not? Not this one, but you built some beds for one of the schools here. Yeah. So these guys run the stores. They actually go out and build some of the beds for the kids. So there's the stat. I told you about that, yeah. And then Whole Planet Foundation, again, of interest to you. This is our first foundation we started 9 years ago with the idea of ending global poverty, a small goal. But we use microcredit here. What we do is we use the UNIS model, and we lend money in small amounts through MFIs in these different countries, 60 countries now, I believe, to basically give people a hand up. And there's only two requirements. One, they have to have a checking account or some way to hold the money, and two, they have to have an income-producing business. Those are the rules. And if you've never read Eunice's book, Banker to the Poor, it's a fantastic read. But essentially, this is now our team members volunteer and go overseas. This is Madagascar, I think, and this is the map now of where we're serving, where we now have established Whole Planet Foundation all over the world. So literally, when you come to the grocery store, it is more than a grocery store. When you buy something, you are buying something that reaches around the world, helps people. And you don't think our team members, particularly after they take a volunteer trip, get the sense of purpose of the company, that we're more than just a grocery store. They do. It's very meaningful to them. And finally, this is one very close to my heart because I'm the one that's been sort of pushing the company to move into inner city communities, and this is Whole Cities Foundation. We're starting it now. And essentially the effort here is I realized in Detroit when we built that store that it's not just the access, it's also the education. And this is what Jeff and Broad Community Connections are doing so well in New Orleans with Refresh, is this idea of really reaching into the community to provide the education, and culturally appropriate education, relevant education, that folks can actually hear and integrate into their lives. And so Whole City's job will be to, essentially provide educational aspects to, so we're, for example, what we're working with Whole Cities and Jeff is we're going to fund some community health educators, right, to go in to the community, to where people are, and help them begin to work on this. And that's what Whole Cities is going to provide, the educational piece to go along with the access. So those are our three foundations, and again, the team members get pretty excited about the fact that the company is doing these things. And what's good about it is that you have a company that's got a mission, and these foundations represent that mission in action in the world in very real ways. So in closing, I would just say that my friend Howard, you all know his company, Starbucks, one of my best friends in business, and somebody I greatly admire. And the sort of view here is that business in the 21st century, in a time of great transparency and accountability, business needs to find its way towards a wider sense of responsibility in the world. And that responsibility includes serving their communities, both local and global, wherever you're doing business, not taking the community for granted, but taking a fresh look and reimagining what's possible in your relationship with the community. And second of all, taking into account a wider view of all the stakeholders in your business that are participants in your business, and saying, how can I think more broadly about their views and help grow my business from the benefit of those perspectives. So just finishing, I'm staying upstairs, or I was last night, and I looked out this morning. What a beautiful river, what a beautiful set. And I got the history of English Corner, I guess, or English Turn, yeah. I watched two ships come up this morning, and so I had to put this because I thought this is really cool. But in the end, I guess that would be my message, I think, that, at least for us, that I would share with you. Our experience, our journey suggests that a company who's willing to take a sense of purpose, a broader sense of responsibility in the world will be successful in the years ahead. So, thank you very much. Oh, I'm going to do my Drew Brees imitation.
That's right. There we go. That table is hungry, yeah.
Throw it out here. Really? Are you serious? Go ahead, Dominic. I'm with you. Oh.
There we go.
All right.
Well, oh no, there's more.
Got to get to the Frenchman here. Oh yeah, it's right over there. Okay, here we go.
There we go.
One more.
Man, there's a lot of hands now.
Oh. She said good choice.
See, that's how it is. First, no one raised the hand. Now, at the end, you run out of T-shirts.
Full audience participation.
Right. Well, hey, thank you so much for giving those great insights to us today, this morning. We're very happy that you could come, and I would like, please, to do some Q&A now. If there's some questions, please just, if you can, I think we have microphones So if you can wait for the mic, and then if you can stand up, please say your name and with who you're with, and just formulate a quick question, and we'll make sure we get as much as possible. So yeah, let's start over there.
David Frady, Whitney Bank. You had mentioned earlier around supplier shortages on organic grains, and knowing that I believe the U.S. is one of the largest suppliers of grain in the world. Are you seeing a sustainable change to farming practices in support of your mission within our country?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, the organic demand continues at double-digit rates and has for the last 5 years compounded. So the demand is there. What I'm seeing I'm seeing more uneven in certain crops, particularly like corn and soy. Organic corn and soy have jumped around. So I don't have all the detail that our buyers have on this, but I know that particularly on the non-GMO grain, we are now in the business of contracting for grain so that some of our suppliers that are smaller are going to have access to a pool of grain. And some of the policies around traditional corn and soy have affected the organic growers' willingness to plant because they're concerned about the drift, or they're concerned about the GMO contamination, and the rules on that are not exactly clear right now. Right now the onus seems to be on the organic farmer who gets drifted on. So I don't know if I'm answering your question, but I think the demand is, I'm seeing an uneven growth of markets are trying to adjust to the demand. But corn and soy is where I have the biggest concern right now. I mean, because the animal producers all use corn and soy, right? Some people are looking at you going to barley as an alternative, but you heard what happened. Somebody told me this morning about the barley crop in Canada. I'd rather see us buy it in the U.S., but we can't get it. We can't get what we need. So that's where we are. That's where we are right now. But I think over time markets correct and adjust, and we're not really buying anything from China because we got so much blowback from our customers about, and on the ground, by the way, our own experience of it was it's not, you can't trust the food safety over there in the things that we were buying. So we brought that production back over to the U.S. for frozen vegetables and some other things like that. But I think the market is turning, maybe like an English term, but it's but you got to veer over to the thing and or you come out, and that's kind of what's happening. Yeah. I am very concerned about organic corn and soy. It has fallen behind in terms of the demand. So, what do you probably raise corn and soy, right?
They bought corn town, I'm not a banker yet.
All right.
Well, please, yeah.
Judah Linger. So I did grow up on a rice farm, and so my question, piggybacking on this, is: are you guys getting into? It sounds like you're getting more into the supply chain. Are you actively doing things to help farmers? My father's still a farmer. To produce for you in any way, or is it just that you're playing the markets?
No, we don't. No, I mean, one of our core values up there is win-win relationship with our suppliers, and I think the best thing we decided a while ago that we're not farmers. We can't farm. We don't know how to do that, and we don't understand the business. And if we got in it, we wouldn't know how to get out of it if we got in a fix. So what we'd rather do is build a good relationship with a farmer and pay well, pay on time. I think if you check out there, we have a good rep on paying on time. That matters to people, and some longer-term planning with some relationships, like with collars and that sort of thing. So broccoli is $10 a box a day. We'll write a contract for 2 or 3 years so people can plan their acreage, and then we'll put some collars on the pricing so it's fair to both parties. You know, I think that is one of the things that we're doing. While we're trying to help the farmers by having a reasonable relationship, set some good framework for that, and then pay on time and do those sorts of things. So I know that the planning is helpful to the farmers to be able to think beyond just next year. And obviously with a contract from us, that's bankable, and they can do what they have to do to maneuver. So for us, back to the question, to make sure we're going to double the amount of food we buy in the next 5 years as a company. So we have to have supply. So to do that, we have to have relationships, and we have to have good relationships that will produce for us. And so that is where our focus has been, is how we strategically do that. The reason we jumped into the grain commodity is just because of the particular shortage there, which really concerned us to being able to get, because it's so critical to so many of the animal products that we sell and the animals that are raised. And, but that's how we're thinking about it. Don't see us getting into the farming business, yeah. Even though I'm a gardener, but.
Billy?
Yeah, my name is Billy App.
Hi, Billy.
Hi. Great to be here. I'm with J.W. Allen and Company. We're international freight for all this customs brokers,
yep,
logistics and all that. And we spend a lot of time, our professional association does, along with individual companies in Washington,
Yeah.
keeping them from really putting us out of business. You know?
Really?
Making them understand
Yeah.
who we are, what we're
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
Do y'all
Trying to create
do y'all-
jobs and wealth for Louisiana, right?
Right. But do y'all have a Washington presence? Is that someplace that y'all spend a lot of time making them understand your business to allow you to continue to be the company that you are?
No, we spend no time there.
No time.
You know, because you want to shoot yourself up here. I'm not saying you shouldn't, but I'm just saying you get up in there and you get in these things. There's a lot of inside baseball, but nothing really changes. And so it's just, I think we would have chosen to put our efforts on going forward and trying to do it that way and invest in communities. You know, like in New Orleans, you know, we just build the store and create the jobs. Leroy has 150 jobs at his store. You don't think that matters? We didn't ask. You know, so it's just, you can put your energy somewhere, and you have to do it for the business you're in, but we don't. We don't have an office. We don't have a lobbyist. The only time we got involved was on when this thing, the forced unionization was coming down the road a few years ago, which we have a point of view. We did get, Howard, myself, a couple of guys from Jim Senegal from Costco, put up a point of view that they weren't seeing it as clearly as they should. I thought, you know, but so from time to time we'll go up there, but no.
Thank you.
Yep.
Does everybody know who this gentleman is, Dominic?
Yeah, okay.
My name is Ivan Radovich. I'm with a company called Novasis. We are management consultants from out in New Orleans. The question I had, sort of like in your map, you know, when you went, working from 1980 to 1990, you had 9 stores.
Right.
And then in the second decade of your existence, you know, like you went from 9 to 117.
Yeah.
What made it happen?
Yeah, so we bought a bunch of companies in succession, and we bought 3 or 4 of our largest competitors in different markets. At that time, the natural food industry was pretty small, but we grew very quickly by buying a company in Boston, a company in Los Angeles, and that's, you know, so now most of the growth is organic because we've bought everybody. But that was how it happened. It happened very quickly. I mean, so.
Yeah. Consul, please.
You got to tell everybody who you are, because
Sorry?
you should tell everybody who you are.
Yeah, I'm the French Consul General. Hello, everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the great speech and for the values, and I'm very impressed, honestly. Could you just address a bit more on your development in the UK? And is it the first step to invading Europe, I mean?
Invading.
I'm sure the market is very different, and I think they are very demanding regarding green products and perhaps very good products. So perhaps it could be interesting.
Yeah.
Invest in France, that's my goal.
Invest in France or invade France? Okay. Yeah. Well, the invasion of France starts. No, I don't see us going to Western Europe right now. We're in Scotland and England, and it is a very different market. As you well know, the regulations are significantly more in France and Western Europe than they are in the United States. So the thing is really is a matter of focus. We have so much opportunity right here in the United States, so much in the next number of years that I think as we think about allocating time and capital and resources that we're going to take advantage of what we see as an opening in the marketplace right now. And we're doing really well in Canada, and so we have sort of 10, 11 stores. We're going to do 30, 35, 40 stores in Canada. But I think we have looked at another country, a 4th country, and but it's not Western Europe. It's somewhere else in the world. So we do get asked every day to go to different countries. But you know, if I were to pick a country in Western Europe, I would pick Holland. I think it's a very progressive country. The technology is way out there. There are lots of English-speaking folks, and I would pick that, you know, truthfully I'd pick it first. Obviously French is one of the great food cultures of the world. So we'd have to be careful. How would we go there and add value to France and food? Or how would we go to Italy and add value? I mean, that's a difficult question, right? So, I hope Western Europe continues to make progress economically from where it is right now. You think it's coming back?
Yeah, I
You hope so? Yeah.
And I've been posted in Holland, and I can tell you that the company named Albert Heijn.
Yes, I know them. Yeah.
It's perhaps quite the same business model.
Yeah.
But perhaps I think you can add value.
I think we can. Yeah, because Dutch people are very.
Social involvement.
Yes, I know Albert Heijn's very well. I know their stores very well. So, yeah, thank you though. That's very nice of you to invite us to invade your country.
we had here. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Hey, Walter, my name is Vince.
Hi, Vince.
My company is Camellia Beans. My claim to fame is that my great-great-great-grandfather brought red beans to the city
Seriously?
of New Orleans. So
oh, wow.
I was particularly happy to see the red beans and rice on the menu board there in front of the room. I guess my big takeaway of today is your talk is the importance of actions lining up with the values that your company has set, and how that gives your organization a sense of integrity and purpose. My question for you is, how critical has that component been in your organization's growth and its stature, sort of that it's arrived at in the marketplace today?
What a thoughtful question. Well, it's hard for me to say how much of a factor it is. I mean, I don't know any other way of doing it. And I didn't, I think for John, for myself, for the others, the reason that we got in this business, because we believed, and I still believe deeply today, that we have, in bringing healthier food to the world, and so integrity is core to the Whole Foods market, essential to the Whole Foods market. And there's a governor at this point sort of within the culture around things that lack integrity. So that's the transparency, the accountability. We stopped selling things along the way that we found out that tilapia was being fed female hormones. We said we have no hormones in the store. We had to stop selling it the next day. So we hold ourselves to a high standard, and I think where it comes into play is this idea of the action is the integrity of not only in the marketplace that I think people, when you keep taking actions that support what you're saying, but it's also internally that the team members see that they believe that the company will do what it says it's going to do. And with that faith of the team members, then I think the company does grow in a way that's different then there's a gap there between what you're saying and what you're actually doing. So if your core value is team member happiness and excellence, which is one of our core values, do you actually do that? Do your decisions actually reflect that? Or do you say that and your decisions don't actually reflect that? So now it's a constant thing you're doing, but I think it's, so I guess harder for me to say from the inside, but I think it is an essential part of who the company is a sort of idea that we stand for something. And in that, we try to live up to that each and every day. So,
please, in the back.
My name is Sneech Perry, and I have a small custom clothing business, and with aspirations to be global. And Mr. Robb, you spoke earlier in your presentation about the message of Whole Foods is about quality, but you have to be relevant on price. And I'm curious as to know, did you and John, did you all know, or did you anticipate that customers would be willing to pay much more than they were accustomed to for everyday items such as food and so forth? Like, did you all just have a sense of that, or did you all create that culture of quality over price? And if so, what advice would you have for someone like me who is kind of coming out with a product that everybody has and does, wearing clothing, but I'm asking you to pay, a higher, price point for that because it's better quality.
Right. Well, you've got to tell your story. I mean, you got to tell your story about what's different about your product. You're either going to be in the commodity business or you're going to be in the differentiated business. If you're going to be in the differentiated business, you've got to be clear to people what it is, and there's got to be the premium associated with it's got to be responsible. I think what we see in our marketplace right now is the premium the customers are willing to pay has shifted. It's a little less as the awareness of product has grown and more people have it, that the premium is adjusting. But the need to, in the cases where like our meat that nobody else has what we have, you have to really tell your story about what's around different on it. So when we started out, I was like, let's just get this thing going and get it together. My own little store I started in 1978 was I borrowed some money from my stepfather. Look, it was an old garage. I put a little spray painted sign open. I did $200 the first day. So like, what did I know? I didn't know nothing. But you know, you learn as you go. And so I think we started out with this strong sense of mission of bringing the natural food to the world. And the idea that whole food with a small W was more health-giving than the food that was being offered from the post-World War II, the processed flour and sugar and those sorts of things. So we started out with a sense of this is a good thing to do. And the businesses were very small and then have grown over the years as awareness has grown. So I think it's always that you're always balancing between quality and value. You have to constantly rebalance. But what I see happening in the production community, farmers and them, they tell me is they want to be somewhere where they can get some value added for their work. Because the commodity markets are tough. You know, you look at the dairy farmers this last couple of years, they get $15 a hundredweight, they get $9 a hundredweight. How do you run a business on that? Just yo-yo it around, you know? And so they'd rather get in a relationship where they can have a longer term view and where the market values the work that they put. A lot of farmers have a lot of pride, and I'm sure, you know, in how they produce their food, and they want to tell that story about how they're producing the food or what's different about it. So I think for you as a small business, I don't think you want to go the commodity direction, but you know, the clothing business is very, very tough on that level. I think where you want to do is try to figure out what is different about what you're producing and have customers see that and then to see what they're willing to pay in terms of the premium for the product that you're bringing them.
Scott Nichols, Ross.
Yeah, Scott.
So you mentioned your target for 2018 of having labeling for anything that's GMO containing.
Yeah.
What's your view on the genetic engineering of things? Does that inherently make them less nutritious or less valuable in your estimation? Or is it just a component of doing agriculture?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a Luddite, and I think that the question about genetic engineering, you know, my personal views were in our Whole Foods company views. I mean, I have strong personal views about, but I think in general, our view as a company has been like, look, whatever the science, and I'm not sure the science is clear, you have people arguing passionately on both sides of this issue. There's intragene, which is what Luther Burbank did, where essentially he's taking a plant and he's continuing to improve it through breeding practices, traditional breeding practices, to bring out the qualities of the plant. And there's the cross gene, which is what's happening when you put a fish in a plant or this or that, where you're taking two. This is where most of the concerns are in this area here, where you're mixing different species together. And my view is that that's probably going to unfold, but I think people have a right to know what's in their food. They have a right to choose what they're buying. And so our position has been, that seems to be pretty democratic. It seems to be pretty fundamental in America, that people have the information and they'll make their choice. And so our position has been, we're going to provide the customers the information. There's only 7 crops in the U.S. that are commercially GMO. There's not the almonds, there's no GMO almond. So there's 6 or 7 crops, and you probably know what they are. So, but they do, corn and soy, of course, touch a lot of products. So our thought is we'll provide the information, and it turns out it's a lot harder for us to do that than we thought. We gave ourselves 5 years to do it. I don't even know if we're going to be able, we're going to have to we may not be able to get all the way there by 2018. But but I think what I hear in some is there's some legitimate concerns. If you're talking about medicine, we should do it yesterday, because there's people suffering and dying. But if you're talking about doing it in food, there should be some safeguards around that that should be put in place. We don't have to do it tomorrow. It's a great productivity tool. I think it's going to continue to create positive change in agriculture. I think there's some legitimate questions out there in the marketplace right now that have not been addressed head on. There's been no third-party scientifically controlled study around these. All the research has been done by the companies themselves. I think these questions deserve an airing and an answering. In the meantime, our answer is going to be labeling so that people can choose. But it's a very charged discussion. People are really wound up about this particular topic. So, yeah.
I think if there's no more question, then we would like to adjourn this luncheon. Thank you so much again for coming. This was such a pleasure. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. I said, please find. Oh, yeah.
Oh, shake hand.
Oh, shake hand. Here, he's the boss. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.